You are listening to the Showbiz Side Hustle podcast, powered by PerformerPreneur. I am your host here, Nicole Louise Geddes, and together we'll be delving into all of the ways that a showbiz side hustle can support you now and long into the future. So sit back, relax, and listen in, and together let's get inspired to take action to create the life, future and business of your dream. Welcome to today's podcast, the Showbiz Side Hustle podcast, powered by PerformerPreneur, and this month sponsored by Dani from Dani Practical Leathercraft. She makes traditional handcrafted heritage leather with a unique twist. Practical leather at practical prices, as seen on BBC's Make It at Market. Find her at www.ddpractical.co.uk. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Showbiz Side Hustle podcast, where I'm super excited to introduce you to one of my members, Dani. So we're going to be introducing Dani. We're going to be talking to Dani about her time with the membership, her time building her own showbiz side hustle, her time on TV. Like, there's so much we're going to talk about. Visibility, time blocking, her why. It's going to be a jam-packed episode, and we've got 30 minutes to cram it all in. So sit back, relax, have a listen, meet Dani, come and hear all about her fabulous journey with highs and lows, ups and downs. I'm sure she'll be happy to agree. This showbiz side hustle shenanigans is a roller coaster, as is our performing career. So Dani, I think that leads us really nicely into asking you to introduce yourself as an industry professional and as an entrepreneur, so we can get the full picture of who you are and what you're all about.
Okay, thank you. So I am Dani. I am a lighting technician and sound technician working in the theatre industry, and now I'm also a leather worker due to a variety of circumstances that happened, and I'm now I actually put leather worker first now.
Amazing. Oh, that's a new fact that I've just learned today. So that's amazing. And I feel that as well with my journey. I now put entrepreneur and mentor ahead of all of my performing credits now. And that's a really magical journey to be on, because as you and I both know, we feel, and hopefully the listeners that are listening, with that kind of spark of curiosity when it comes to having a side hustle. We're building our businesses, Dani, you and I, and our fellow performerpreneurs, for that longevity outside of the industry. So you did just allude to a variety of circumstances. Most people listening will probably not have forgotten, be traumatized by, and forever remembering the pandemic that hit us all, and which did cause you to pivot, as so many of my clients did at that time. So that is one of your reasons for starting the side hustle. It's one of the big reasons that many of us started a side hustle, myself with PerformerPreneur as well. So just have a little reminisce and tell us all about that moment of kind of panic, I would presume, knowing you and knowing my own story, and what happened next.
So March 2020, I think, is a date that's going to be blazoned into our brains forever. Date, because my partner Dave also he's a sound engineer in the industry as well, and we were a very new couple, making our way in the industry, and we were getting to the point where we were going to be hired together as a team. And then come March, I remember we were away camping and we got locked down, and within a week, like a year's worth of work, we just sat and watched our diary completely disappear. And we were like, oh no, what the hell do we do now? Like, we're a new couple. So we just chilled out for a couple of months. And then I was bored out of my brains, and I need to be working. I need to be doing things. And Dave said, well, I really need a new belt for work. Ironically, we weren't working, but he was driving trucks. And so he bought me a little leather working kit off of online. Here's a little leather working kit. I need a belt. I made a belt, put it online, and boom. By June, I had a business, and by December, I had a shop in our local town. So Yeah.
Crazy. Well, it is crazy because so many stories start like that. We have another member that, you know, sat and had a moment in the middle of the night and thought, well, I like sweets and people like sweets, and there's a wholesaler that's just still open in the pandemic. I'll start a sweet business. And she is super successful too. So I guess, yes, we can all understand and appreciate that kind of moment of fear and pause, but it doesn't have to. These big ideas don't have to come from the most, you know, the most memorable moments either. So yes, your pandemic pivot did, but it making a belt, it wasn't on your trajectory to be a leather worker, just something that you wanted to have a go at to pass the time. Now we don't have as much time, so I guess that's something we should touch on, because when people are thinking about starting a business in the pandemic, we did have the luxury of time. So I know that it was a travesty and it was just so like demoralizing and horrific that we had all this time, because our business as a performer in the industry had come to an absolute abrupt stop. But it did give us the gift of time, and it was a gift to explore and have a little bit of time to work out what we did next. And we don't necessarily have that, but we do have the time ticking in our brains that the industry will not necessarily support us in the way that we hope forever. And I hate to burst everyone's bubble listening, but it is a fact. And it's a fact that the reason I've started the podcast, started the membership, started PerformerPreneur, is because the industry will not necessarily be that lucrative for us forever. But we don't have the time that we had in the pandemic to start these little side hustle hobbies. So we're just going to jump straight in. If you're listening, just jump straight in. And actually, if you really were listening to Dani, she did start in the March, had a business in the July, and a shop in the December. So that is not a lot of time, Dani, but you are the master of time. And I was talking about that in a previous podcast about time blocking and time management, and you are great at that. So we're going to talk about that at the end, because it's very obvious that you can manage your time very well to create a business in that amount of time. So I want to just quickly ask you about other whys, because in a previous episode, I've said, you know, you might have the why of the pandemic. I need to do something with my time. I need to make some money. That's very, very top surface level why. As your business developed, as your confidence in having a business developed, what were the other whys that kept you going through the hard times and through the lessons learned?
Yes. So I'm 4 years in. I've looked back and realized that I'm not really built to work for other people. I have worked for lots of people, and I was always just a bit like, I'm not enjoying, I don't love this with passion and joy like a lot of people I know that do. And having worked for myself for 4 years, I could never go back now. So I think that's given me something that I can, as long as I keep going and keep doing well, then that's has given me control of my business. But also anyone working in this in the performing industry, whether we're backstage, whether we're front of house, whether we're performers, we put our bodies through a lot to work in this industry, and our bodies are constantly being pushed to our limits, and we're never going to be able to still do this at like the age of 60, 70, 80, because we've put our bodies through so much in our younger years. And I already had a knee injury, which was getting worse and worse and worse. And I thought, you know what, I kind of want to, I love working in the industry, but my knee, it's agony. It hurts. Like I hurt. And I'm like, I'm kind of like the idea of having my own business and picking and choosing when I want to work in the industry. So Dave and I will go and do this job together or that job together, but we might take some time off and go to festivals and do my business, which is now my predominantly first thing that I do is my business.
And you know, it's a hard truth, isn't it, that we've just said. our bodies, our minds, mindset as well, and just how it's just very draining, and the roller coaster that we spoke about in the industry, the famine and the feast, the highs and the lows. So to have something like you're saying that you can call your own, that you can put your time and your energy and be rewarded for doing so consistently. Like, these are the things that I talk about all the time with the members in the PerformerPreneur free space, and now here on the podcast. It becomes ours. It brings you joy. You have purpose. That's another word that I just think is super important. And you mentioned the picking and the choosing. Rather than the industry being in control of you, you are now in control of your industry career. So you're picking and choosing which gigs you say yes to. And that can work for backstage, like you say, front of house, performing, circus, cruise ship. You can literally pick and choose because you have a consistent income from your own business, and it's a passion as well. And I think that's the best bit about being a performerpreneur. We have passion and tenacity and energy and creativity in abundance, and being able to channel that into something that gives us such fulfillment. I mean, you can see how much I'm lighting up, and you can see if you're watching on YouTube, Dani is equally lighting up because it just resonates so much. It is a wonderful, wonderful thing. And to be able to juggle that and have control. So you have the original why, you've got the injury, but actually none of that really matters now. I've known and worked with you for a few years. I've watched you grow. You had these whys. They felt very, desperate's probably the wrong word, but they felt very prevalent, that you needed to do these things to get past these kind of hurdles. But now it's just a joy. Now it's just let's keep rolling, let's keep doing. So the why now is the joy, right? And how amazing is that?
Yeah, to be able to, don't get me wrong, I'm hard on myself, and anybody that knows me knows that I work so hard, all the hours under the sun, but I love every moment of it, and it can keep me going. I feel like I'm riding on a high. And obviously I do a lot of festivals, so I'm taking myself to my customers, and I'm presenting them with the lots of lovely things that I've made. And then it's that kind of anxiety of, do they love what I've made? Are they going to buy it? And then you sit there for a few days, and then in the end you tally up what you've made, and you're like, oh my God, this is amazing.
We loved it. Well, hold on a minute.
Yeah.
I saw the performer in you then. I saw the industry in you then. And that's another thing. Like, it's another way to express ourselves and get that celebration back, that cheerleading, that endorphin that we do thrive on in the industry because it's your own. And I saw that in you, and I feel that as well. It's having that way to express ourselves and be rewarded, rather than working for someone else and not having that moment of glory, because we do like that in the industry. And so it's just translating that.
Yeah, and it also means that I can decide where the business money goes. I can decide how much I'm putting back into the business, how much I'm paying myself, how much I'm putting aside for treats and things. And we're kind of at the point now where our theatre work is like spending money, and then the business is like the income.
Well, the theatre work is now the side hustle.
Yeah.
So there's a few things I'm just going to recap on so that we don't forget to talk about them, because there's a few things that have just come up for me there. So I want the listeners to not be perturbed by the fact that it seems, whilst we're listening, that you've done all this super quickly and that you may well have had a lot of knowledge, but actually I want everybody to realize that this is possible for them too. And Dani, you won't mind me saying that you had no business knowledge at the beginning. And so that didn't stop you. You had to just learn as you were going. And I think too many people are now worried that they don't have the answers. We want to be perfectionists, and you've alluded to being a perfectionist. You do all the things, you want it all to be brilliant, and you do all the hard work. But equally, you have took some leaps, and you haven't been perfect all of the way. Like, I know that as your mentor, like, it's not been perfect. It's been messy and it's been beautiful, but it's not been perfect. And each step has got you closer to this dream and this vision and this version. So I want to just remind the listeners, and you can tell them in your own words, how it doesn't have to be perfect to start with, how you don't know everything, and how getting started is the first step. So in your own words, if you agree with what I've just said there as well.
Yeah, so in the beginning, it was a pandemic. I hate the word, it was unprecedented. Nobody knew what was going on. And then I was like, oh, why don't I just start a business with no business knowledge whatsoever, but I could make. And I am good at what I make. And so that for me was my foundation, is that I had a product, and I was even in the beginning, I was good at it. And then I've perfected it over the last 4 years. But I didn't know anything about marketing, websites, and all of the stuff that goes around. There is a lot to do as a self-employed single one person, and I didn't have a clue. So I kind of muddled through for those first 6 months, and then opened a shop and thought, right, okay, I'm here. Everybody come see me, come find me, and I kind of work out the rest. And literally after I opened the shop, that's when I found PerformerPreneur. And it was the perfect time for me, because I was like, right, I've started a business. I've got some products, I've made them, I've got a little shop, I've got a physical place that people can come and find me. But what's the rest of what I need to do? So I found PerformerPreneur just at the right time in like December 2020. And I've been ever since. I'm a part of a cracking community. And sometimes it's nice, it's hard to do this by yourself if you've never done it before. And lots of people that are like your best friends and family may not get it at all. They might not understand at all what you're doing, but they support you and it's amazing, but they don't really understand everything we put ourselves through and everything, all the challenges that we need. So it's nice to have a community for the last 4 years alongside me working my ass off to do this. I've always had that community there to hold me accountable, to lift me up. Like, I just love just like, oh, we're having a members call. Amazing. Like, I'll drop everything to go on this members call just to see people and be like, I've missed you, I've not seen you. And we have these catch ups, and I love we have our little kind of members Zoom calls and power hours and things. And something that seems like the biggest thing in the world to you, you can just present it to the rest of the members and they're like, no, it's fine, here's a solution. Or yeah, it just, everything doesn't seem so big anymore, and it makes you, well, just, yeah.
It's honest. And if you're not in a community, if people listening, if you're not in a community, you won't understand. But if you even find another community, we urge you, Dani and I would urge you to find any community that understands your journey. And PerformerPreneur is such a specific journey. It's performer and not really wanting to let go of that industry and that feeling and that passion, but also knowing and that realization and that light bulb that there has to be something else to support this, and also create the exit strategy that I talk about from the industry. But you don't have to know it all. People will help you. You can Google it. You can come into the membership and learn it. You can read books. There's so many avenues to get started. But Dani has shown and told her story of that tenacity to just give it a go and work the rest out as you go along. And nothing bad will happen doing it that way. I think we've been programmed as industry professionals to be, in class, learning, doing all of the time before we even step on a stage. And sometimes it's just not that way. Like, sometimes it has to be, leap first and find out afterwards. The other thing that you touched on that I spout about all the time is visibility. Now, going back to the pandemic, we were all online. It was quite a different world to where we are now. We're back in and amongst people. And you, Dani, and I want to congratulate you on this, you have put yourself out there. There's a reason your business has flown, and it's because you have taken your industry confidence that, we've got it in abundance. Everyone listening here has confidence in abundance in terms of presenting, standing up, becoming someone different, and performing. And you've taken that and you've ran with it, and that's why your business has as well. So on a side note, anybody that's thinking about starting a side hustle from the entertainment industry, you're already leaps ahead of everyone else, because we don't mind putting ourselves out there. We might have to take a deep breath, count 5, 6, 7, 8, and then jump and do it, but we will do it. Dani, your visibility has been the key to your success, I believe. You have leapt into social media. You have gone in and amongst people, like you said, with your stalls, you're at festivals, you are networking, you are present, you are presenting yourself, and you have ended up on TV. I mean, you're just like a superstar client, right? Can everyone just be a bit like Dani? But no, on a serious note, Dani, what is your top tip? What has put, I'm sure you've been afraid along that journey as well, but you have pushed through. And then tell us finally about this TV exposure and what that's done for you as a business.
So I think my top tip through all of it is managing my time, because there is so much to do. Like in the beginning, yes, you can start a little side hustle, whether you make something or it's a service or something, and you can do that, and it doesn't take a great deal to do it, but to then every year be evolving the business and developing the business and getting more out there and being out there, there is suddenly a lot of hats that you have to put on and off to do the business, and it is a lot. And I try to share this on my social media as much as possible, just so everybody kind of understands that some days I don't even get time to make, because there's admin and phone calls and picking up materials and doing all of these things outside of my workshop that have to get done. If I don't get them done, the business won't tick over by itself. So it's managing my time and time blocking and being organized. And lots of people say to me, well, I'm not an organized person, but you don't have to be an organized person to be organized. You can find tools to help you organize. And that's what I do. I love making things to help keep people organized, because I'm organized. Everybody will say to me, like, you're the most organized person I know, but it's not easy. I still need tools to help me, because there's just so much going on in your brain all the time.
And marry that up with another, purpose and another career. But it is possible. And that's why I'm bringing members in to talk about this, to showcase, you are going to be at Panto all Christmas, and you will have prepared, you will have time blocked, you will have managed, and the business will still run alongside it. And, festivals, and Dave is off doing lighting right now and things like that. It does all work. And then the social media, they keep invisible. There's tools, like you're saying, there's tools. And in the membership, in the community, on Google, you can find these tools, and you can make your time work best for you. Talk to us about the TV appearance, because we've mentioned it a couple of times, and everyone needs to go watch this episode of Dani on the TV.
So it was last March, so March 23. So I've been 3 years on. And a lovely lady that I know who does leather work for a hobby, as we follow each other, and she's seen my work, and she sent me a link and said, you need to apply for this TV show. And I thought, you know what? Why not? I wasn't expecting anything at all from it. And I knew that there were thousands of people applying for it. And I just thought, but if I don't do it, then I'll never know. And I got in. Against thousands of other people. And I was it was a bit surreal for most of 2023, to be honest. It was kind of 9 months of filming and making and dropping everything at a moment to go and do something for the show. So kind of most of 2023 was very hard to manage my time, because I didn't have control over what was it wasn't me. It was coming from the production company, and they were saying, right, we need you to go off and do this. We need you to do that. And I'm not entirely sure how I did 2023 in hindsight, but I did, and I got there. And it was amazing to work with other traditional makers, and it was nice that we're being supported and people are thinking about us, because we are out here, but it is hard to do it all ourselves. And
So
then
tell us the name of the show, Dani, because we've not even said the name of your business yet. I mean, we're waiting till the last moment. The name of the business, the name of the show. This episode is sponsored by Dani, and her business and her links are all in the bio below. So you will find them. But please do plug yourself and the show right now.
So I'm Dani from DD Practical Leathercraft. The DD is Dani and Dave, my partner, and we're practical. It was a simple thing that we came up with. And the TV show is called Make It at Market. It's a BBC TV show. It is on BBC iPlayer, season 2, episode 12. And I'm on there with a lovely calligraphy artist as well, which is another thing I like to do. So it worked really well for me. And you can find me. You literally just need to Google DD Practical and you will find me. I've worked really, really hard on my SEO and I'm everywhere.
and so you should be. So the thing that stood out when you were talking about this amazing whirlwind of 2023 and the TV show was that it was giving me anxiety a little bit just listening to you, because that is how I believe we still feel in the industry. You know, we are pulled from pillar to post, doing all of the things that we're being told to do to serve and to perform and to get the next paycheck and to get the next gig. And so I guess like you've left the industry, you've created your own business, and then you found yourself back in it on a different level, but equally, maybe highlighting to you, and I don't want to put words into your mouth, but highlighting to you exactly the reason why you want to do your own thing.
Yeah, it was, basically, it is basically that. And I love it. I'm so grateful for the opportunity. I worked hard. And they do say when you're doing this filming, if you don't work hard and you don't do everything they ask of you, then it might not work for you as it will other people. So I did everything they asked of me, but Dave and I were just all over the country. It was carnage. It was a lot. And we both kind of were absolutely exhausted because it took over our lives for 9 months. And then we had to keep the business very, very open during pantomime, where we were both working 2 shows a day for the whole of December. And then my TV show went out in the middle of pantomime and it was amazing. And I got all these orders came in, but then suddenly I was like, oh my gosh, like everything I've ever done in my life is happening in this 24-hour period. And I've got to try and manage this now.
You managed it with perfection. You was like a swan. Anybody that knows Dani, friends, family, members of the membership will know you were a swan. You managed it perfectly. But I can imagine you just sat back a few months later with a cup of tea and just thought, right, I am going to just take back control and do all of the things for me and my business. Dani, there's so much you and I could talk about. We talk often. I know your whole journey. It's been an absolute privilege to be your mentor. You would have succeeded with or without PerformerPreneur. I absolutely 100% hand on heart know that. But it has been a privilege that you have let me be part of your journey and that I've watched you grow, helped you grow, and you've helped me grow in return. Dani, there's so much I could say, but hopefully, the emotion that you can hear in my voice, I'm super proud of you. I'm super grateful for your friendship and the opportunity to mentor and be part of your journey. And you're just an absolute force. I'm not going to lie. Jan is the first member I'm bringing onto the podcast. Hopefully she's been an inspiration. I absolutely can 100% believe she is. She's an inspiration to me. She has done all of the things she needed to do to get where she needs to. If you take anything from this episode or meeting Dani, is that action. You have to take action. This stuff is not going to happen without action. But you don't have to know it all. You don't have to have the answers. You don't have to necessarily predict where you want to be. You just have to get started and find a community that are going to support you, cheerlead you, and celebrate with you along the way. And it's as simple as that. I mean, it really is as simple as that. Dani, I'm going to give you the final word, my darling.
Yeah, it is as simple as that. I had never run a proper business before. I just threw myself in there because I thought, do you know what? This has got to be better than the current situation we're in with the pandemic. And Nicole says that I would have done it with or without PerformerPreneur, and I would have, but it's been much easier with PerformerPreneur because you do need, doesn't matter what anybody says about whether you're a people person or not, you do need people in your life that get it, that understand, that are like-minded, and the rest doesn't really matter. If you have a good foundation of what it is you want to do and you're good at it, the rest will just fall into place with that community and the knowledge and experience that that community has. And there'll be things that people just know that other people don't know. And it's then suddenly there's this wealth of knowledge in one Zoom call is incredible. It really is. And the cheerleading and the support, and I love being part of Performer. I can't imagine not being part of PerformerPreneur.
Well, we're not going to let you go. So if you want to join us, then you absolutely can. Come and find the free group for a little taster, and then segue and move into the membership when you are ready. But for now, Dani, I will see you this month in our club calls and our Zoom calls. Please go search out Dani and her socials, her website, her products, her services, and I personally cannot wait to see what is next for you, Dani. I know that you're mid-festival season with your products. DD Practical Leather Crafts are all over the country. So go seek her out and go meet her in person and be inspired in person. Big love and thank you for joining me for this conversation. And please do type any comments, thoughts, likes, subscribe so that Dani and I can feel the love. You have been listening to the Showbiz Side Hustle podcast powered by PerformerPreneur. This episode was sponsored by Dani at DD Practical Leathercraft, who makes traditional handcrafted heritage leather products with a unique twist. Find her at www.ddpractical as seen at BBC's and make it at market practical leather products at practical prices. Okay guys, that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed the show. Thank you for joining me here on the Showbiz Side Hustle podcast. So until next time, please do take a little bit of action, that very first step, and make sure that you are doing something for you and your Showbiz Side Hustle this week to move you forward and get you heading quickly and swiftly and strategically towards success.